You're listening to No Blueprint.
No Blueprint.
To No Blueprint.
To No Blueprint.
You are listening to No Blueprint.
I'm Anna Banana Freeze. I am a human, a mother, a B-girl, a Massive Monkees. I'm a teaching artist and a dancer and performer.
Hey, nice.
I think that's what I am.
So you've been someone actually that and I think I may have told you this, when we started the podcast originally, you were someone who was on our list of people who we have to talk to. And it took us a really long time to get here, but we wanted to make sure that we were prepared to be able to have this conversation. And so it is an honor to be able to finally sit across from you and gather all of this for sure.
Yay, thank you. It's because of this podcast that I started listening to podcasts. Before that.
I'll take it.
I don't know if I thought it was like some foreign language or something, but I had never listened to a full podcast before.
And now what do you
No
listen
Blueprint.
to? Now what do you listen
to? I was listening to a bunch of like nutrition podcasts, and those are kind of like okay, and then like the language gets a little triggering. I'm like, oh,
yep.
I'm not gonna listen to this anymore. But the Chase Jarvis Live show, I listened to that.
I think my boy Jeremy Higuchi put me on to Chase Jarvis.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is obviously Johnny Higuchi is in studio with us. So yes, shout out to Jeremy. Shout out to Johnny.
Wow.
But let's start. I want to start with you from the beginning.
Okay.
Where were you born?
I was born in the Philippines, in Davao City. Before I was born, my dad enlisted in the Navy. And so when I was 4-ish, I think it was after Christmas. So when I was like 4-ish, we moved to Greece. At first, because my dad's in the United States Navy. So at first, I think me and all my little cousins thought we were moving to Disney World.
Okay.
Because that's what we thought of America as.
Wait. How'd you get from Greece to...
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so because he was in the American Navy, we thought we were moving to the United States.
Okay.
Like, we're moving to a place where you speak English. Yeah, for some reason that translated as Disney World or Disneyland, the land of Disney. I don't know. So we didn't move to America or Disneyland. We actually moved to Greece first. So it was like a small town, like an hour away from Athens, called Nea Makri. And so that was kind of my transition from Filipino life in the Philippines to American life in America was Greece.
And so you're like, so you assumed the whole time in Greece that you were in America?
Oh, no. Oh, I knew I was in.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just remember having this expectation, like we'd see Mickey Mouse.
He'd be chilling.
And Donald Duck and stuff. When we landed, I think that's what I was.
Maybe waiting for you at the airport.
Yeah. So, I guess that's what I thought of. It was that kind of a move. It wasn't.
How long were you in Greece?
We were there for 2 years, and I didn't know that not everyone has like a vivid memory of their childhood, because I did. So whenever I talk to people,
I was gonna say, what do you remember about Greece?
Yeah. Oh, everything. That was like a whole lifetime for me.
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So even when I was living in the Philippines, like I have tons of vivid like memories.
From before 4?
Yeah, from before
That's
4.
crazy.
Yeah, and I think it helped that we had a photo album.
Yep.
So as soon as like we'd see pictures, my mom would like yeah, that's when we went here and did this and stuff. So I'll have a memory of the actual event, but like overlaid on that memory is like a picture.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, I thought that really happened, but it was a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm so sorry. So we moved to Greece, and we were living there for a while. I went to a private international school there. I learned a little bit of Greek while I was there, but I also was learning English because I knew some English words when we were living in the Philippines. But I was speaking 3 dialects when I was living in the Philippines.
Which ones?
Tagalog, Ilocano, and Pangpangan.
Okay.
Learning English was cool and all, but there's also like a different culture. And I think moving to Greece first kind of softened the rough edges of America. Just like America for an immigrant kid that has a strange to pronounce name.
Okay.
Yeah. So I loved Greece, basically.
Yeah.
I super loved Greece. Super big part of my memory. It wasn't until we moved to America, so like two years later after I turned 6, that things got kind of weird.
Okay.
Just like the school system. So we moved to Florida first. So still not Disneyland, but like northern Florida in Jacksonville.
Oof.
And
okay.
Yeah, it was the schools that I went to were really white.
Okay.
I think there was like one other Filipino kid.
But how long were you?
Oh no, so it was kind of weird. 2 years, and then we moved to Virginia for like 9 months or something, and then we moved back to Florida.
Interesting.
And then from that point, it was 3 years.
Wow.
After we come back.
Okay. What part of Virginia?
Norfolk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you went back to Florida. Jacksonville or a different part?
Jacksonville again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you went from the Philippines at 4. You lived in Jacksonville for 2 years. You went to Virginia for how long?
Virginia, like less than a year.
Okay. Then moved back to Jacksonville for 3 years. So by now you're like almost out of elementary school.
Yeah.
You've lived in all of these places.
Yeah.
And I forgot about Greece.
Yeah.
Of course. Wow. So then what happens?
So after 5th grade, I remember it was like the day that we were having our DARE graduation ceremony. So it was at the end of the school year.
Yo, DARE.
Everybody had DARE shirts, but it wasn't the black DARE shirts. So it was some red ones. So
What?
everybody was wearing these red DARE shirts. Yeah, but it was the same
Red
logo.
and black DARE shirts.
Yeah.
Shout out to DARE.
Yeah. So I got like some certificate or something. I don't know, for being good or whatever. And then I think it was like an hour or two after that ceremony. It wasn't even like, I didn't even get the whole day for that school day. Like we had to leave before school got out, and that's when we like moved away. And the way when I say we moved, except for going to the Philippines to Greece and Greece to America, we always drove. Okay. So in America we weren't on planes or anything. So we drove. So we drove from Florida to Virginia, back to Florida, and then from Florida, after my 5th grade DARE ceremony, we drove up to Waukegan, Illinois. So that's like a suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we lived there for like...
Still in the Navy?
Less than a year. Yeah, still in the Navy.
Okay.
Lived there for less than a year. And there was actually like a strike in the Chicago school district. So...
Wow.
I only went to school for like 2 months that year.
Chicago Public School District.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were always striking. Yeah.
How long were you in Chicago?
Less than a year again.
Okay.
Yeah. My
And
dad
why?
did a training
And was your dad like just wanted to move and see these different places?
No. Oh no, he had no say.
Okay, they were just like, it's time. It's
yeah,
time.
it's like, okay, you got to
go.
do training here and then go here. And then usually, like, when he's stationed somewhere for, like, 3 years or so, that's, like, when he's just on a ship.
Were you going back to the Philippines to visit any time in between?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you, this was clearly before the time of, like, Facebook and MySpace and the internet.
Yeah.
And so, like, how often were you able to connect back with family?
Oh, wow. It was only my parents who would talk to, like, their siblings or their parents when they'd be on the phone. I don't ever remember my parents. I don't think it even occurred to them for us to say hi. Maybe because, long distance costs a lot.
Right, they're like, this calling card.
We're like, we don't have time for you to stutter on the phone and try to figure out who you're talking to. You don't even get to say hi. I think my parents wrote letters too, because we'd get mail. Yeah. The slow way and get like pictures and stuff like that, and they'd send money back. So
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, no.
That's legit.
No internet yet.
So how did you get to Washington?
So from Illinois, we moved to California.
Okay.
So that was like 1 year in Vallejo, and then 3 years in Alameda, California, which is right next to Oakland. So that was like middle school and first year of high school.
Okay, it was Vallejo and...
Yeah.
I was about to say, so you're seeing
in Alameda.
Everything from Jacksonville to Chicago to Vallejo. Like, wow. That's a lot of culture in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hella involved with school. I was in band. I was doing really good in all my classes. I was doing honors. I loved everything, and I loved school, and I loved being involved. Oh, and I was in drama too, and I was gonna be part of the community.
So you had all the friends.
Yeah. So it was a good life, right? And then like starting to become a young adult. Were
you dancing yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not at all. I didn't even know the word hip hop, I don't think, at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then so we moved. And of course, my life is ruined.
Oh,
literally ruined.
My friends.
Oh, my goodness.
You just took me away from everyone.
Yeah, like for real. And we moved to Everett, Washington.
Ooh.
So, yes. And here we drove again. So when we moved, we drove up. And like when you get on northbound I-5 and you're about to turn, and then you see that view of Seattle that's like so pretty.
Okay.
So that happened. It was a cloudy day. We see the view. We take a turn on the bend and we see the view of Seattle. I was like, oh, wow, that looks nice. Okay, this is gonna be fine.
Okay. And you keep going.
And then we keep going.
And you keep going.
We keep going. We pass downtown. We don't even turn. We don't even go into anything. I'm like, oh, okay. And then we're all like turning. It's like, okay, how far are we going to be?
We're still
30
going.
minutes.
We're still going.
30 minutes north. There wasn't even any traffic. 30 minutes. And then we landed in North Everett.
Is there a base up there?
I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Oh no, sorry. It's there is, but it's not in Everett. It's a little north of Everett.
Okay.
Forgetting what the thing is called, but yeah. So we went there. We went there, and then.
And you were like, "This is not Seattle."
Yeah, and then literally, it felt like every day after that day was like a gray Pacific Northwest. Not sunny, only sunny for an hour.
You went from sunny Northern California, to cloudy Everett, Washington. So then, when did you start dancing?
I started dancing like maybe 2 years after that.
Still in high school? Or?
Yeah, still in high school. The thing about moving to Everett, and it probably would have been the same if I moved to Seattle, but I wasn't surrounded by the music that I was used to anymore, and I didn't know that was going to happen. Because before, I was used to I don't know, like a radio station being, I don't even know what to call it, like normal? I don't know. But but then eventually I just started looking for music online, so the internet just started at this point.
AOL dial-up? Or?
Yes, dial-up. It was dial-up. So you'd hear the when it was loading or whatever, and you can't use the phone at the same time because we didn't have two phone lines. Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. We didn't have two phone lines, so you tie up the phone line if you were online. And you get kicked off if someone
if someone calls in and you pick up the phone. Hello. Listen.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Some folks listening to this are not going to have any idea.
I know. What is this? What is this technology? Probably everybody. But yeah, so I started looking for music. And again, I didn't know what to call it, but I think I just like would stumble upon different songs that I was familiar with, like
and
hearing.
it'd take you 3 days to download one song.
Yeah, it would. Like, forget about it if you're trying to download 2 things at the same time. That'd be like
over. But okay, so then you're doing your research. You stumble upon dance. What did you find, and how did you go from there?
So before dancing, I was into DJing.
Yep.
And so the way I my younger brother and I got into the like Seattle hip hop scene is I was at a math conference at Edmonds Community College. I think I was just going because it was like a day off from school. So you would say yes to any field trip, or at least I did. So I was at this math conference, and in one of the classes, so this was when I was still like researching and stuff and getting acquainted with hip hop and learning about DJing. One of the students, I think, they were asking whoever was lecturing a question about something, and then he happened to mention that he was a DJ. I don't know, he was like totally name dropping himself. But he did that, but that like super stuck in my mind. I was like, oh, he's a DJ. Okay, I'm gonna, and then I told myself, I'm gonna go up to him after this session ends, and I'm gonna give him my number or something like that. My aim. I don't know. So I approach him after this whole thing is done, and it happens to be like a Filipino guy too.
Okay.
And I think he thought I was hitting on him or something, and I was not hitting. I was just trying to, like, you know, as a budding professional to another, trying to network.
Wait, how old were you when this happened?
Oh, I think I was 14. 14 and a half, maybe.
I was like, just a budding professional. I was like, wait, how were you when this story happened? Okay,
aspiring DJ.
Yeah.
We started chatting a little bit, and I think the first time we met up, he picked up me and my brother from Everett to go. I think it was like to a show.
How old was this person?
Ryan was 16, I think. Yeah. And I think I was 14. Had the
car?
Yeah, so we totally had a car.
Mom made you take little brother?
Yeah. Okay. And my little brother went too. So he kind of introduced us to the Seattle hip hop scene. Actually, he did. Okay. And we would like practice. I was borrowing someone else's turntables, like another DJ that I met at a school dance.
So you started off DJing at like 14?
Yeah, I guess. Oh, actually, maybe it was 15. No, 15. I'm going to say 15 because I'm a sophomore.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, so.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was just weird.
Did you have a
thinking
DJ
back
name?
On it. DJ Bananas. Or actually, it was supposed to be DJ Banana. Yeah.
How did you come up with DJ Banana?
Well, Anna is not even really my real name. So that Japanese class I mentioned, I don't know if they do this for every language class, but you're supposed to come out with a name. Yeah. Okay. So my name was Anime. Get it? Anime. Anna.
Anime.
Yeah. And only a couple people got that. People thought that was like my real name. I was like, that is not my real name. Do you not get it? Like, are we not in Japanese class? But yeah, so since my easy to pronounce name was Anna, so I just started using it not just in Japanese class, but like in other things, and online too.
How long were you on DJing before you were like, this is cool, but...
Okay. I stopped like maybe a year and a half into it.
Okay.
Because that's when I started getting into dancing. But one of the other reasons was...
It's expensive.
Yeah. I had a telemarketing job to make money to pay for turntables and like records and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, so my brother was DJing at the same time. He was learning at the same time. He was just a little younger than me. But I was noticing that when I'd go to practices and stuff, I wasn't doing like shows or like doing gigs or anything, but we would just get together and practice with other people. And I would notice that it was consistently it consistently happened that when I DJ'd or when I was doing anything, I would get like more commentary and like more amazement or whatever from whoever was in the room.
Oh.
And then my brother, it would just be like, oh, you're okay. But he was actually like technically better than me.
Yeah.
And what we would practice on is like scratches. So like mixing, I think I was better. But scratching wise though, like my brother was like so technical and like much better than me, cleaner.
Yeah.
But I would get more attention, so that started bothering me. And I just kind of felt, for lack of a better word, like fake. I guess I was feeling like, wow, you know, like, why are you saying that about me? And when my brother does things, like, it's just whatever. Like, it just felt weird.
Do you remember the first kind of circle that you jumped in, or the first time you danced in public?
I'm not sure when the first time I danced in public. I remember the first battle that I did. I think Johnny was there.
Okay.
I think Jonathan was there. But Massive Monkees were there. And they were like so good and so cool. And I think they ended up winning. But it was like, to me, so the person that I started dancing with, her name is Lotus. And she's also in Massive Monkees.
Okay.
She's the other woman in Massive Monkees. She would get really, like, nervous, like, anxiety attacks, like, super,
wow.
like, well, about to faint.
But we're still, like...
Before battles or ciphers.
Wow.
And she would still do it, though. But she would, like... So since she was, like, so scared, like, there was no room for me to be scared. So I'd be like, oh, hey, you know, I guess it's like having a younger sibling. Like, you know, you act like
you're the oldest.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
I
gotta go first when we're
strong.
walking in the dark and like convince him that there's nothing there. So it was like that. It felt like I couldn't be scared because she was already scared.
Right.
Someone had to be like, no, let's go. It's gonna be okay.
Right.
Let's do it. Look, I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah. Tell me.
Oh yes.
So you're at this battle. You're dancing. You're already dancing with Massive Monkees?
No, not at all. Not.
I
think this was the first time we saw them and knew who they were. Maybe.
Okay, we will go back to figure out the story of Massive Monkees. But for now, the first time you met Massive Monkees, you're in this battle, or at this battle.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I just kidding. I'm lying. That's not the first time I met them. But it was the first time I saw them in a battle and knew who they were, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many folks were in Massive Monkees by then?
At that time, like 6 or something, 7.
Looks
the beginning,
like confirmation.
1998. Or beginning of 1998, I think. Or the end. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it wasn't Massive Monkees yet. I'm sorry.
It's just Massive.
It's just Massive Crew.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
where were you?
5, 6 people. What do you mean?
Like
Was
where?
this the
Like
thing?
was it at Jefferson Community Center?
This the battle.
Yeah.
I was like, in life at the time.
Right. She's like, in life I was somewhere in between.
This was like in Puyallup or something.
What?
Yeah, I think it was in Puyallup. There were quite a few battles, like small battles in Puyallup.
Interesting.
Actually, you know, I'm just kidding. It was called the something firehouse. Auburn Firehouse. I want to say Ballard Firehouse, but it wasn't in Ballard. It was in Auburn.
Because there was
the firehouse.
That was more of a club.
So
Yeah. So it was like this community center. I think it was
How big were these dance battles?
It would depend. Most of them were small. Most of them were pretty small, like a community center or less.
So wait, you mean to tell me in 1998 there were kids from Seattle in B-boy, B-girl groups from Seattle going to Auburn, Washington to battle other B-boy and B-girl crews?
Yeah.
Who was like putting all this together?
Yeah. It was someone from the community center, I think, that put this or that event together.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did do quite a bit, actually. They did do quite a bit. But there were, there was a huge scene, and actually there was a huge breaking scene in the mid-90s. And at this time, when I started getting into it it was actually dying down. So the old crews like Boss Crew, which is from Beacon Hillish,
That's so crazy.
they were kind of getting a little older, I think, towards the tail end of high school, and so there weren't opportunities, you know, back then for dancers, for people who break, so they would stop. Yeah, so me and Lotus, we'd go to Jefferson Community Center. Oftentimes, like, it seems like half the time we would take the bus from Everett to Jefferson, and Jefferson would be open on Mondays and Fridays. So usually we don't go on
like
Mondays.
After school.
Yeah. Usually we don't go on Mondays because it'd be a school night. If we had to take a bus, we'd be getting home hella late. So we'd usually, if we did the bus, it would be on Friday practices.
Okay.
But yeah, so we take the bus. It was like 2.5 hour ride on the bus, and that's one way. And then same thing the other way. And we would do this a lot. But especially in the summer, we would make sure to do this. And yeah, we were just practicing and stuff, and we actually weren't dancing for that long of a time period before we got into Massive Crew, which is kind of weird in hindsight. Like, that's not really good practice, but everybody was kids, I guess. And we weren't that good. Well,
kids are a little more empathetic.
Yeah.
They're like, she's aight.
Yeah, if kids means high school, I guess. Yeah. So, but Lotus, oh my goodness, her form was like impeccable. She had the best form ever. She had like she was dancing before I was. She's the reason why I started dancing, because I saw her practicing after school. Yeah, and then it was like before that I was never interested in breaking at all. Like I'd never stand and watch a cypher ever. Probably because it was always guys that I saw, and I wasn't interested in watching them do that. But when I saw her, I was like, oh, what is this magic? I want to learn. Like. My second thought when I saw her was like, I want to learn. And then so I started learning like maybe half a year later. Yeah.
And your parents were cool with you going down? Nice.
Yeah. They were totally okay with me doing all this, like staying out late and like whatever.
So then you moved to Seattle. You're closer to jams. Are you still working your telemarketing job?
No, I'm not. That was very, very temporary.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very temporary. Actually, when I moved to Seattle, it was to live with a whole bunch of other people from Massive Monkees. Yeah, so this was like beginning of 2001.
Okay.
Yeah. A bunch of us moved out together, like 7 of us, I think.
Oh, man.
And it was everybody's first time, like, moving and
living. I can only imagine.
Yeah, so...
parties.
Yeah, it was.
You get to learn how your friends live and how either cleanly or not so cleanly.
Yes. Oh, and that was... that would be a struggle later, because at first, I think the first year, I don't think I cared as much. But as I began to get older, like things would bother. Like my Virgo-ness would come out and be like, that's not really clean. It's your turn to do that or whatever.
Oh, no, you're not going to wash dishes. Okay.
Yeah. And we try like everything, like having like a whiteboard, have like, it's your turn. See, look, your turn.
The passive aggressiveness.
Yes. For real. Oh, no, it was. But yeah, so we all moved out together. And that was like just a different era. But it was really cool because we were honestly just practicing all the time. Someone had a job at Mercer Gym to like just watch the gym on the weekends.
Nice.
And we would go and practice. Yeah, we go practice there. If there was like a club thing or a late night practice, we go to everything. And at the time, our bodies wouldn't really hurt.
Because y'all were young and flexible. Man, but as I stutter, those pieces, I don't want to gloss over that, right? Like, y'all were a crew who all had a mission to get better at this specific thing. Y'all decided that we were going to come together, save on rent, be together, learn this together, and get over, the person not taking the trash out, the person not washing dishes, the cleanliness, all of the things that happen when you live on your own for the first time with a group of people.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that time had to be like look back on it and say, okay, we're saving a crap ton of money.
Oh my gosh, yes. Mm-hmm.
On top of the connections, the homie with the key to Mercer, right? Like this is a free space.
Yeah.
When in Seattle, space is so limited.
Yes.
As places, and so wow, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, like what that means now. Like I was just like, yeah, that's what happened when we were young, but it's like that's what was happening when we were young in Seattle. Like it's still Seattle, but it's not. I don't think it's like that for anyone.
Right.
Space is young.
Space is at a premium.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then, Massive Monkees is like garnering a name for themselves. Y'all are like touring the world, literally the world. What is it? America's Best Dance Crew was.
Yeah.
What year?
Yeah, that was 2007, I think. 2008.
So America's Best Dance Crew, 2008. I think my introduction actually to Massive Monkees was when some of y'all came out to Central because of Jeremy.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And
oh no.
And so, and which I can't remember what year that was. It had to be maybe right after America's Best Dance Crew, so maybe it was it might have been 2008. And so when did you come up with the idea of like mini breaks?
So mini breaks, the official idea began when the studio, when we got the studio in 2000. Very late 2012. It opened 2013.
Okay. And was this before or after like Massive Monkey Days?
It was after. Yeah, Massive Monkey Days. I think the first one was like 2010, 11. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So let's rewind. Okay. So Massive Monkey Days, Mayor Proclamation.
Oh yeah, that was 2004.
Wow. Okay, so even before that.
Yeah.
So Mayor Proclamation happens. America's Best Dance Crew happens. Massive Monkey Day happens. Were you a part of the overall like culmination of what that was, or?
Kind of. I didn't. So what prompted the Mayor's Award, or like one of the things, was a handful of the crew went to London for this event called what's it called? The World B-Boy Championships. Okay, so it was called the World B-Boy Championships.
Okay.
Tomorrow I could throw a jam and call it the Earth's B-Boy Championships. Do you know what I'm saying? So that was valid. What it was called.
Valid.
It was an international event.
Yes.
But I think a lot of the people that would hear that be like, "Oh my gosh, that is so official! The World Championship."
Okay.
But it was what the jam was called, or the battle was called.
That's good marketing.
Yes. Oh my gosh! But it was like,
oh
yeah, sure, yeah, it was. But so from winning that, but it was a pretty epic battle or whatever.
Okay.
But they won that, and then coming back to the U.S. The city was pretty excited about it. The mayor was excited about it, I guess. And yeah. Right. Yeah. But it was also because of all the community service work that we done. We worked with we would work with kids a lot. Nice. So a lot of us, like, it felt like half of us were employed by Parks and Recreation at the time. Okay. We were doing Jefferson Community Center. Yep. The before and after school program there. Some of us were working for the city. And we would just work with kids a lot. Okay. And I think Jerome, from the beginning, one of the members of Massive Monkees, Jerome Ski, he was working with Arts Corps kind of sort of from the beginning, almost from the beginning of Arts Corps. And so we would just like work and teach kids all the time.
Giving
and
back
at
to the
Jefferson,
youth.
you know, and it didn't feel like, oh, we're giving back, or
because y'all were just dancing.
we have to take it. Yeah, we would just be dancing, and then like there'd be kids, and then be like, oh, hey, you want to learn? Well, here, do this.
But that's so
and
awesome.
it was just like passing it on, kind of, because that's how
Yeah.
people would learn back then. It was like you would have to go to a physical practice and ask someone who you might not know, who might turn you down because they're like scary and like aggressive dancer. I don't know, but like you would have to take those risks, and that's how you would learn. Or your friend who's more brave than you, they go ask, and then they will teach you. You'll learn with your friend or whatever. It was really like that. It's not like nowadays when you could learn watching YouTube, not necessarily having ever gone to a real jam before in your life, and your experience of these things, of these community gatherings are like through a screen. And I think no one knew how much of an impact that would be, because it's different. We had videos, we had VHS tapes back in the day, and we'd like everybody would like copy it, and then that's how it would spread. Yeah. Like one person from your crew would buy it, and then they would make copies for everybody else. And that was normal though. But that's how you found out about people from other places.
So Massive Monkee Studios opened. You immediately start teaching classes?
Yes.
Or wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
from the beginning.
So you knew that like I want to teach a class.
Yeah, I did. And I knew that no one was teaching like a toddler preschool age group.
Oh, so you already knew that you wanted to teach little kids.
Yeah. Because I was like, you know what would be successful? Like this isn't around, so this would probably be successful. And I was a preschool teacher too, so I knew that was I loved it, that age group. And
Where'd you teach preschool?
Daughter, at Jefferson Community Center.
What? Yeah. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who used to be in that program.
Okay.
That are adults now.
What? Okay, so you're teaching preschool. Massive Monkee Studios opens. You start teaching what age?
Yeah, it's like a 2 to 6 year old age range. So I actually wasn't teaching preschool anymore. I stopped a little after I had my daughter. But yeah, it's because that was like my favorite age group. So
age 2 to 6.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's. I shouldn't say that.
It's really funny.
That's a very interesting age.
Yeah, it's really funny because they just learned how to walk.
Yeah.
Kind of like a year or two ago.
And now they're like spinning.
So it's not such a huge leap.
Yeah.
For you to tell them like, oh hey, do all these weird things, and they'll listen to you, be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing that, and they'll totally like do everything I say. Unless they don't.
Until they're crying. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then, what was the inception for mini breaks?
Actually, a few years before, someone had like it was a toddler play group, but it was specifically for I think Black children. So families, like maybe like white families would adopt, and it would just be a play group in which they did all sorts of different activities together. And they asked a friend of mine. So I had a B-girl crew as well. They're not active anymore, but so 2 of us from the B-girl crew would do these little toddler classes, and it would be so hard to like figure out things that would work for them. But a few years after that, that's when I thought of mini breaks. I was like, actually, this will work. And maybe after having my own kid, it was like, oh, that's how to do it.
Let's try this out.
Yeah. But it was really just that. And then I just like figured out like, okay, let me be strategic. Like 2 minutes doing this, 3 minutes doing this. I know the attention spans are really short, so gotta proactively.
We've moved on. Next station.
Yes. I know you're liking this, but we're gonna move on anyway because you're gonna start crying.
Before you get bored with this, let's switch it up. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So if you ever sit through a class, it's really like okay, we're doing this. We're doing this. Yeah. Yes. And I have to like my energy has to be up like this. I have to be like I never saw. Yeah. That I always have to take a nap on a class day.
Okay.
I was like, I only did a 1 hour class, but I'm like spent the rest of the day.
I was about to say.
Yeah, and like my face gets all big and exaggerated. I didn't know how my face got.
Yeah.
Like when I talk to kids, but I'm like
Right.
my eyes are like this, like big, like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know what? I forgot that this happened. Like, just that's the way I talk with them
Yeah.
the whole time. Just like super, like
Exhausting
actually,
so much energy.
Yeah. I'm not really exaggerating because I really do talk like that when I'm interested in something. But yeah, I have to talk to them. Not like they're like, because I think that's what people who don't get along or work well or whatever, interact well with really young kids, like don't realize that they're just they're just young people.
Yeah.
They're people. They're for real people. They have like things they're interested in. And you could tell if you look at their body language, you'd be like,
they can tell.
oh, they're not into that. Let me not talk about that or whatever.
Right.
It's like, oh, you want to be left alone? That's okay. No pressure. Like, I'm not going to make you talk to me just because I'm an adult.
Right.
You know, all
That's
these
real.
things.
That's real.
But yeah.
Wow.
It's super like a magic show. Like,
Okay.
look at this. Now,
Right.
no, ta-da, this is ready. Turn around. Sit down. Stand up. Yeah.
So when did Mini Breaks become its own business?
Kind of sort of from the beginning of from the studio, even when it was going through the studio, from the Massive Monkees studio. I felt I felt really passionate about it, so I made sure like I had a website that explained everything with my own calendar, and I would like do Facebook ads and stuff. I was just like super like, I understood that to fill it up, I had to like advertise and stuff, and I was reading all these business books and stuff.
Okay.
And just like all these things, and they were like work.
What'd you read?
I think one of the first ones was, something about a business brain. It's like this old school book, like a lot of things don't apply. Oh, how to jumpstart your business brain or something like that. I forgot. One of them, it was about branding though. It's called The Brand Gap.
Okay.
And just like all these things. Those are the two that come to mind.
Okay.
Ooh, but also, I think his name is Kevin Kelly, and he had this thing called 1,000 True Fans.
Okay.
Because, so
that's real.
So when I was doing my mini breaks classes, I was trying to make a living off of breaking.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure out how to make a living, how to support myself, and my daughter, my family, with dancing, period. So I was just like kind of going 100% into the mini breaks thing. And the classes would be full, like eventually, not at first.
I'm sure.
Yeah, after like maybe 2 months.
Wow.
2 months.
That's
like,
quick
consistent. Though. Yeah, it was pretty like, and there was like no cap at the time. So sometimes I think the most I had ever gotten when I was at the studio was like maybe 50 kids.
Wow.
So not just 50 kids, but like each at least had like one adult with them. So like, imagine the space being full. So
when did you know that it was time to raise prices?
Well, the studio, we got the space through this organization called Storefronts, and they would kind of sort of like pay for your rent for a certain amount of time. So when rent, when we
started to go up,
when we'd have to pay, then it was like, oh shoot, okay, let's get a little serious.
Gotta raise these prices.
Yeah. But like they're kind of, they haven't really gone up in like 7 years almost.
So knock on wood.
Especially in Seattle, like
it's crazy. Yeah,
we're like kind of sort of in the middle of a possible transition right now.
I was gonna say, because now you're in Washington Hall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm not doing. I left the studio about 2 years ago because there was like this ongoing construction project that would affect the floors. So I couldn't use the floors anymore. So I left to go to Washington Hall because their floors are okay. But yeah, I think if there is a move in the near future, which is very possible before the year is up, then I'll be going back there.
Okay. And then, I guess as we come to a close, Patreon.
Oh yeah! Oh my goodness! So I started a Patreon in July, And if you don't know what that is, it's like it's like the way I'm describing it is it's like Netflix. So you pay. There's different levels of Netflix, I guess, that you want. Like I think most people just have the online one. Anyway, so you pay for your level, and then each month that just automatically gets taken out of your account, like starting at $1. And instead of watching TV shows, you get to watch that organization or that artist or that project grow and develop and blossom and stuff. So, whatever money you have available, $1, $15.
How's it going?
It's going really well. Honestly, what I did was just ask everyone, and I think I've asked almost everyone I know. And I was just looking at like my Facebook friend list, and I was like, wow, who out of all these people do I actually know, like in real life or whatever? So I think I've asked almost everybody, and because it's not normal at all, I don't think, to have, right now I have 110 patrons. It's not normal to get that within like 3 months.
I was gonna say, but
I honestly asked everyone, which is like, hey, can you help out?
So I am a patron.
Yes,
of
you
Mini
are.
Breaks.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I became a patron because the note that you sent out to me, even if it was like a generic note or whatever, it was the first time. I was going to say, because doing that a bunch of times, it was the first time that someone had like reached out and said, hey, we've started this Patreon. We want Patreon. We want to know if you'd be willing to donate X amount of dollars. Even every dollar helps, even if it's only $1 a month. Like, really I thought that was a really amazing touch. On top of, I know that you've been dancing forever, right? And I know that this is your passion. I know that this is something that you've been doing forever. I know that your business has been growing forever. And so, like, it's super cool to be able to say, like, oh, yeah, like, Mini Breaks is something that's dope. It, like, uplifts my community. Like, it's somebody who's from my community. Like, this is super awesome. And so, yeah, I thought, you know, just that touch, right? And I hope that, like, anyone who's listening can take that away. Like, just that touch and the trust that I already had in somebody that was, like, had been doing this forever. It's just, I mean, it's unprecedented and it's super awesome.
Oh,
and so
thank you.
That's cool. So how can people support you on Patreon?
Oh, okay. So if you just go to patreon.com/minibreaksdance, that's Patreon, patreon.com/minibreaksdance. You can even Google that. It'll bring you to the page, and then you can subscribe to whatever level you want. And honestly, the $1 subscriptions help so much, because I don't know if it's like this with you or anyone else who's listening. Like, when you go to a campaign and there's not that many people contributing, you feel like kind of crunchy, right? You're like, oh, this is so awkward. I feel so bad for them. You know, they only have like 1 or 2 or whatever. And it's scary to be like the number 3 or whatever, or the number 1 to that. But I've learned through this experience, I've learned to get over that, to like whatever that perception is. So when I hear about someone I know who has a Patreon, it's like, oh shoot, of course, I'll be a body for you, you know, like so that helps so much. But really, like, the dollars do add up. So it's like, oh, if like 30-ish people or whatever are contributing at $1 a month, that's like, after fees, it's not exactly to class admissions, but it's almost funding 2 kids to be able to go to class, and that's 2 extra kids that would not have gone to class and experienced the normal things and the fun things that other kids with money or families with money have. And that's actually what was bothering me for the longest time about dancing or about teaching classes. It's like, oh my goodness, it's like mostly middle class families
both kids that can afford it.
And I'm like, and there wasn't, like, it was only a very small number of kids of color, families of color. And I would just be like, dang, you know, like...
The scholarships is a real thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to afford those classes for myself or my daughter.
Yeah. And I think that, like, I know this from my wife's youngest sister, and thinking about summer programs, right?
Yeah.
There's a ton of summer programs out there. There's not that many that are, like, free or reduced or have scholarships that make it equitable for the families that are on free and reduced lunch, right? And so it's like, and it's sometimes it's babysitting, right? It's literally we're going to babysit your kid for the entire day. Yeah, that's going to cost you $1,000 a week.
Yeah.
But because it's $1,000 a week, it also means that, like, certain students or certain kids can participate and others just can't sometimes.
For sure. And
shout out to you for...
Yeah. No, it just doesn't make sense, right? I come from a community that wouldn't have been part of those programs if it wasn't for a scholarship or something. So it's like, dang.
That's super cool.
Lately I've just been reflecting back on myself, like, what would have helped me?
Yep.
You know, like...
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This has been super cool. I'm sure that there are things that we missed out on.
Okay.
I'm now in this, like, with the podcast, we're in this space where we get to have follow-up conversations with folks. And the follow-ups are usually, like, on a stage somewhere and get to have a live continuation of a concert. And so hopefully this is just a foundation of conversations that we've had before. And we can come together, like, in a space. And this is actually the first time that you are the first person to have been recorded in this space.
Oh, wow, really?
Yay, and so
exciting.
super excited. Last question, how can folks follow you?
Oh, okay. I'm on Instagram. Probably best to follow my Mini Breaks account because my personal account is tagged in all of those, I think. So it's just at Mini Breaks Dance or website minibreaksdance.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Yes.
If you liked what you heard, be sure to donate so we can keep going. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube, so be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. You have no idea how much it helps. We also want to know what you think. You can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can even use the hashtag #NoBlueprint. And if you're really down with the movement, you can join our Patreon account and become a patron, where you'll get exclusive content and limited edition merchandise. No Blueprint is powered by Ambassador Stories. We share stories of the people, places, and spaces that bring soul to our communities. No Blueprint is recorded at Ambassador Stories Studios and co-produced with me, Maiwa Aina. Hear more episodes of No Blueprint and get official No Blueprint merchandise at noblueprintpodcast.com.